Water covers most of this planet. It makes up most of your body. You drink it. You wash with it. You swim in it. For most people, water is the safest thing they'll touch all day. But for some people, water is the problem. Not drinking it. Not because it's contaminated. Not because of what's in it. Just water itself. Any water. The reaction starts within minutes. The skin becomes inflamed. Red welts appear. The itching is described as unbearable. And it happens every single time water touches the skin. This isn't a fear. It isn't psychological. It's a physical reaction. The body treats water like a threat. Like an allergen, even though water is what keeps the body alive. Most people have never heard of this. The ones who have it often spend years trying to explain it. Doctors sometimes don't believe them. Friends think they're exaggerating. Because how could someone be allergic to water? The medical term is aquagenic urticaria. It's real, it's documented. And it's one of the rarest conditions in medical literature. But what actually happens when water touches the skin? Why does the body react this way? And what does it mean to live in a world made mostly of the one thing your body can't tolerate? Before we uncover everything about this condition, if you want to keep learning about things you didn't know existed, subscribe to Everything Uncovered. New videos every week revealing what's been hidden in plain sight. Water is assumed. It's the baseline, the default, the thing everyone can use without thinking. Bathrooms are built around it, social gatherings involve it, basic hygiene requires it. The entire infrastructure of modern life assumes water is safe for everyone. When that assumption breaks, everything changes. People with aquagenic urticaria can't take long showers. They can't swim. They can't stand in the rain without consequences. Washing dishes becomes painful. Sweating triggers the same reaction as external water. Even tears cause welts on their face. This matters because it reveals something most people never consider. The things we assume are universal often aren't. The systems we build aren't designed for everyone. And some conditions are so rare that the medical community itself struggles to acknowledge them. There are fewer than 100 documented cases worldwide. That's not because it's underdiagnosed, though it might be. It's because it's genuinely rare. Rare enough that most doctors will never see a case. Rare enough that research funding doesn't exist. Rare enough that treatment options are limited to trial and error. For the people who have it, this rarity creates isolation. Support groups are tiny. Medical professionals are often skeptical. Insurance companies question the diagnosis. And the general public finds it hard to believe. But beyond the individual experience, aquagenic urticaria exposes gaps in how medicine works. It shows what happens when a condition doesn't fit existing frameworks, when symptoms seem impossible, when the immune system does something that shouldn't be possible according to current understanding. This isn't just about water allergies. It's about what gets studied and what doesn't, what gets believed and what gets dismissed. How rare conditions challenge the boundaries of medical knowledge. And it's about the human experience of living with a body that reacts to something as fundamental as water. The adaptations required, the explanations needed, the constant navigation of a world built for people whose bodies work differently. This is why it matters, not because it's common. Because it's real. Aquagenic urticaria is classified as a physical urticaria. That means the trigger is physical contact, not something ingested or inhaled. Water touching the skin causes an immediate immune response. The skin develops raised red welts called hives or wheals. The reaction typically appears within 2 to 30 minutes of water exposure. It can last anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. The severity varies. Some people get mild itching and small welts. Others experience intense burning pain and widespread hives that cover large areas of the body. The temperature of the water doesn't usually matter. Hot water, cold water, salt water, rush water, all of them can trigger the reaction. What makes this particularly challenging is that it's not just about external water. Sweat contains water. Tears contain water. Saliva touching the skin can cause a reaction. Humid air can sometimes trigger symptoms. The body produces water constantly, which means avoiding the trigger completely is impossible. The condition usually appears during puberty or early adulthood. Most documented cases are in women, though it's unclear whether this represents an actual gender difference or a reporting bias. It can appear suddenly without warning. One day water is fine. The next day it isn't. Medical science doesn't fully understand the mechanism. It's not a true allergy in the traditional sense. True allergies involve IgE antibodies responding to proteins. Water isn't a protein, it has no antigenic properties. The immune system shouldn't be able to recognize it as foreign. The current theory involves histamine release. When water contacts the skin, something triggers mast cells to release histamine and other inflammatory compounds. This causes the blood vessels to dilate and leak fluid, creating the characteristic welts. But why this happens remains unknown. Some researchers think water might dissolve something in the skin that then becomes an allergen. Others suggest it might involve changes in osmotic pressure across cell membranes. There are theories about acetylcholine sensitivity, about altered skin barrier function, about genetic factors that haven't been identified yet. What's clear is that the body is responding. The reaction is measurable. The histamine release is real. The inflammation is visible. This isn't psychosomatic. It's physiological. But the exact mechanism, the specific cascade of events that turns water contact into an immune response, remains unclear. And until that mechanism is understood, treatment options remain limited. This is the big picture. A rare condition where the most abundant substance on Earth becomes a trigger, where the body reacts to something it's made of, where medical understanding hits a boundary. The physical symptoms are consistent across cases. Within minutes of water exposure, the skin becomes red. Small bumps appear, clustering together to form larger welts. The affected area becomes raised and inflamed. The texture changes from smooth to rough and swollen. The itching is described as intense, not the mild itch of dry skin. A deep, burning itch that feels like it's coming from beneath the surface. Scratching doesn't help. It often makes it worse. The more the skin is disturbed, the more inflamed it becomes. The welts can appear anywhere water touches. For someone who washes their hands, the reaction appears on the hands. For someone who showers, it can cover the entire body. The torso, arms, and legs are common sites. The face is particularly problematic because tears and sweat are unavoidable. The reaction peaks and then fades. Hives don't last indefinitely. After 30 minutes to 2 hours, the inflammation starts to subside. The welts flatten. The redness fades. The skin returns to normal. Until the next water exposure. Some people experience systemic symptoms beyond the skin. Headaches, difficulty breathing, fatigue. These suggest the reaction might involve more than just local histamine release. It might indicate a broader immune activation. The severity can change over time. Some people report their symptoms worsening with age. Others find they become slightly less sensitive. There's no predictable pattern. Each person's experience is individual. What's consistent is the speed of onset and the certainty of the trigger. Water causes the reaction. Every time. The body doesn't adapt. It doesn't build tolerance. The response remains immediate and reliable. This is what aquagenic urticaria looks like. Predictable, visible, and temporary. But recurring with every unavoidable contact. Living with aquagenic urticaria requires constant adaptation. Bathing becomes a carefully managed activity. Showers are kept short, often under 3 minutes. Some people use baby wipes instead. Others apply barrier creams before washing to minimize direct water contact. Drinking water is usually safe because the reaction requires contact with skin, not ingestion. But water splashing on the face while drinking can cause welts around the mouth. Drinking through a straw helps. Wiping the face immediately after drinking helps. Sweating is unavoidable and triggers the same reaction. Exercise becomes complicated. Physical exertion leads to sweat. Sweat leads to hives. Some people take antihistamines before exercising. Others avoid exercise that causes sweating altogether. Weather affects daily life. Humid climates make symptoms worse. Rain is problematic. Swimming is usually impossible. Beaches, pools, water parks, these become places to avoid rather than enjoy. Social situations require explanation. Restaurants offer water. People suggest swimming. Friends don't understand why someone would refuse a shower after the gym. The explanations get tiring. Some people stop explaining. Clothing choices matter. Fabrics that trap moisture make symptoms worse. Breathable materials help. Layering allows for quick removal if sweating starts. People learn what works through trial and error. Hygiene requires compromise. Daily showers aren't possible for everyone. Some people shower every few days and use alternatives in between. Others push through the pain because the social stigma of not bathing feels worse than the physical symptoms. Kitchen work is challenging. Washing dishes means water on hands. Some people wear thick gloves. Others avoid cooking that requires washing. Travel becomes complicated. Hotels don't accommodate short showers. Airports involve security, which can mean hand washing. New climates mean unpredictable reactions. Every day involves decisions that most people never have to make. Getting diagnosed with aquagenic urticaria is difficult. Most doctors have never seen a case. Many have never heard of the condition. When patients describe their symptoms, the initial reaction is often skepticism. The diagnostic process involves a water provocation test. A compress soaked in water at body temperature is applied to the skin, usually on the upper back or forearm, for 30 minutes. If hives develop, the test is positive. If they don't, the test is repeated with different water temperatures or contact times. But not all cases show positive results on the first test. The reaction can be inconsistent. Stress, hormones, and other factors might influence whether hives appear during a controlled test. This leads to false negatives. And when the test is negative but symptoms persist, patients get stuck in diagnostic limbo. Some doctors misdiagnose it as cholinergic urticaria, which is triggered by body heat and sweating. Others attribute it to anxiety or somatization. Patients report being told their symptoms are psychological, that they need therapy, not dermatology. This dismissal has real consequences. Without a diagnosis, there's no treatment plan, no insurance coverage for therapies, no validation of the experience, just continuing symptoms and mounting frustration. Even when diagnosed, treatment options are limited. There's no cure, no specific medication designed for this condition. Treatment involves repurposing drugs meant for other types of urticaria. Antihistamines are the first line. They reduce histamine release and minimize symptoms, but they don't prevent the reaction entirely. Some people try phototherapy, which uses UV light to modify immune responses. Results are mixed. Some find it helpful. Others see no benefit. Omalizumab, a medication that blocks IgE antibodies, has shown promise in case studies. But it's expensive. Insurance rarely covers it for aquagenic urticaria, and access is limited. The medical response to this condition reveals how unprepared healthcare systems are for conditions that don't fit standard categories. No one knows why aquagenic urticaria develops. Theories exist, but none are proven. The most common hypothesis involves water dissolving something on or in the skin that then acts as an allergen. Sebum, sweat components, or epidermal proteins might change when exposed to water, creating a substance the immune system recognizes as foreign. Another theory focuses on osmotic pressure. When water contacts skin cells, it creates pressure differences across cell membranes. This might trigger mast cells to degranulate and release histamine. But this should happen to everyone, and it doesn't. So something else must be different in people with the condition. Genetic factors are suspected. Some cases run in families. But no specific gene has been identified. The inheritance pattern, if there is one, remains unknown. Hormonal changes might play a role. The condition often appears during puberty. It can worsen during pregnancy or menstruation. This suggests hormones influence either the trigger or the immune response, but the exact connection is unclear. Some research points to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter released during sweating. People with aquagenic urticaria might have heightened sensitivity to acetylcholine. When they sweat, their bodies release it, and the immune system reacts. Environmental factors have been considered. Exposure to certain chemicals, medications, or infections might prime the immune system to react to water. But no consistent trigger has been found. The truth is probably more complex than any single theory. Multiple factors might need to align. Genetic predisposition, hormonal state, environmental exposure, and immune function could all contribute. Until more research is conducted, the cause remains speculative. And without understanding the cause, developing targeted treatments is nearly impossible. The most common misunderstanding is that this is a psychological condition, that people are imagining the reaction, that it's anxiety manifesting as hives. This isn't true. The reaction is measurable. Histamine levels rise. Blood vessels dilate. The inflammation is visible under a microscope. Another misconception is that people with aquagenic urticaria can't drink water. They can. The reaction requires external contact with skin, not ingestion. Drinking water is safe. The digestive system is lined with mucous membranes that don't trigger the same response as skin contact. Some people think it's the same as being allergic to specific substances in water, like chlorine or minerals. It's not. The reaction occurs with all types of water: distilled water, tap water, salt water, rainwater. The common factor is water itself, not contaminants. There's a belief that people with this condition never bathe. Most do bathe. They just bathe quickly and strategically. They manage symptoms with medication and timing. They accept the temporary discomfort because hygiene matters. The idea that they avoid water completely is inaccurate. People assume this condition is life-threatening. It usually isn't. The reaction is extremely uncomfortable, but it's localized to the skin in most cases. Some people experience breathing difficulties, which can be serious. But most cases don't involve anaphylaxis. It's painful and limiting, not typically fatal. Another misunderstanding is that this is contagious. It's not. It's an immune response unique to the individual. You can't catch it from someone who has it. Some think there's a cure that people just haven't found yet. There isn't. Medical research has explored this condition for decades. The rarity means funding is limited. Progress is slow. There might be better treatments in the future. But right now, management is the only option. These misunderstandings matter because they shape how people respond to those with the condition. Disbelief, dismissal, and bad advice create additional burdens. Understanding what this condition actually is helps reduce that burden. Most people think of water as neutral, safe, essential, the thing bodies need. And that's true. Water is essential. Bodies are made of it. Life depends on it. But aquagenic urticaria reveals that neutrality is contextual. What's safe for most isn't safe for all. The body's relationship with substances isn't universal. Immune systems interpret the same molecules differently. This reframes how we think about allergies and reactions. Allergies are usually discussed as responses to foreign substances: pollen, peanuts, bee venom, things from outside the body. But aquagenic urticaria shows the body can react to something it's fundamentally made of. The distinction between self and threat isn't always clear. It also challenges the idea that rare conditions don't matter. They might not affect many people, but they reveal edge cases, boundary conditions, the places where biological systems behave unexpectedly. Understanding these edges expands medical knowledge. It pushes science to account for exceptions, not just norms. For people with this condition, the reframe is more personal. Living with aquagenic urticaria means accepting that the body doesn't work the way it's supposed to, that normal life requires abnormal effort, that something as simple as washing hands is complicated. But it also means understanding the body in ways most people never will. Paying attention to sensations most people ignore, noticing patterns and reactions. Becoming an expert in your own physiology out of necessity. The broader insight is that the human body is variable. What works for most doesn't work for all. Systems built around assumptions exclude the people who don't fit those assumptions. And conditions like aquagenic urticaria expose those gaps. Water isn't the enemy. The body's response to water is the problem. That distinction matters. Because the condition isn't about water. It's about how one specific immune system interprets contact. Most people will never experience this. They'll drink water, shower, swim, cry, and sweat without their skin reacting. Water will remain neutral, safe, unremarkable. But for the small number of people with aquagenic urticaria, water is a constant presence they have to navigate. Every day involves decisions about when and how to allow water contact. Every social situation requires explanation or avoidance. Every physical sensation gets evaluated for whether it's sweat starting, tears forming, or rain beginning. This condition exists. It's documented. It's real. The medical community is still learning why it happens. Treatment options are limited. Research is minimal. But the people living with it aren't waiting for answers. They're adapting, finding ways to manage, creating lives around a limitation most people never have to consider. This is aquagenic urticaria, a rare condition where the body reacts to water, where something essential becomes something to minimize, where normal becomes complicated. This was hidden. Now it's uncovered.